That's how, I'll say like Biconomy got started, with the main aim of how we can make crypto applications more mainstream and how we can, like onboard next billion users into the space.
With multiple decentralized applications being built across the realm, there is a need to work on streamlining the user experience in terms of insanely high gas fees we see at times and the difficulty in moving assets across chains. This is essentially where Biconomy enters to ease user onboarding and the entire experience dealing with digital assets. They are here to make Web3 simple to use for everyone. To discuss about the project and how they are driving this change, we have Aniket Jindal with us today. Aniket is the co-founder of Biconomy and has a rich experience in marketing, entrepreneurship, and investing. Welcome to CuratedX, Aniket. We are thrilled to have you with us today.
Thanks for having me, Chavi. Excited to be here.
Lovely. So let's get the ball rolling on an interesting note. And we'd love to know about Aniket as a person. How would you describe yourself?
Okay, that's a difficult question, but yeah, I can try. So I describe myself as someone who can, if he's passionate about something, it just, like that's the only thing he kind of thinks about, nothing else. So, and I'm very easygoing, kind of a thing, kind of a person. So it kind of gets along pretty well.
Lovely. Good to know that. So moving on to the business side of things, right? Let's dig deep and know a little bit about Biconomy. What are you trying to solve with it? How this idea came to life? And what is that differentiating factor that Biconomy brings to the table?
Oh, surely. So this got started long ago. Like this was back in 2018 when I kind of came to India after Shanghai. And there was nothing. There was no DeFi. There was no metaverse. There was no any buzzword you can think of. There was nothing. There was just blockchain and there's some coins coming in the market. And people were just building different blockchains, and they were trying to get, like build applications that people can use. And at that time, when I was trying to use an application, I was like, okay, it took me like 3 days to use this. And that too, the UX is so bad that I don't think so. I'll use it again. So I was like, okay, there needs to be a better way for people to use the application. And of course, like if we have to go mainstream, this is not the way how people will be using the applications. People in the like normal, as a benchmark, we have, like normal applications, YouTube, Facebook, etc., where it's is so simple, people just kind of log in. And that also in the initial phase, it took people super long to get onboarded. With crypto, with seed phrase, with like getting assets, gas fees, all this kind of stuff, how would people able to use applications? So that's how I'll say like Biconomy got started, with the main aim of how we can make crypto applications more mainstream and how we can like onboard next billion users into the space. So it's been over 3 years. We're trying to kind of simplify transaction flow in the ecosystem, and the way and the pathway we kind of adopted was, we're targeting developers. We kind of realized back then that developers were, so they're kind of building their products. Along with the product, they're also building, like rails and tools to make sure the product work. I was like, okay, like you should just focus on the developer, the product part of things, and all the rails and picks and shovels, something it should someone else kind of be doing it for you. A very apt comparison to this is how AWS, Heroku, Stripe kind of do it for the Web2 space. So we kind of in the same league where people are just focusing on the product, and we are kind of in the picks and shovels business where we are providing them different, APIs and SDKs that kind of simplify their developer experience. In the end, like helps in increasing the user experience. So yeah, this is something what we've been working on over the last couple of years.
Lovely. Sounds interesting. I think it's been truly an enriching experience for you, it seems like, as to how you figured out that, yes, this is the pain point, which is not, which is going to disrupt or which is going to impact how Web3 moves going forward. And then you picked on that pain point, and that is what you're trying to solve. That is, I think, a really interesting thing that you're working on. Also, it's definitely, I'm sure, a leap of faith trying to build something using a new and evolving technology like this, but you did exactly this and in the right way. So now, just to take a step back, I would like to understand your journey. What was the time in life when you realized that Web3 and crypto is the next right progression for you?
Oh, it's actually a very funny story. So just to give you some context about my background. So I kind of come from a business background. I was handling my father's business before crypto, and I was sort of getting bored of it. Not in a way that that I didn't believe in the industry, but I was not able to fit perfectly in the business, and I wanted to do something that takes space. So fortunately, I got into MIT Sloan and Fudan Masters course in Shanghai. I was there in 2016, and the very first month of the course, I was in a Bitcoin meetup, and I was like, okay, what is this? Definitely, it doesn't make sense to me. There's some random coins out in the market. Uh, but at the same time, demonetization happened in India. We all remember, back in time when 500 and 2000 rupee notes kind of got banned, and it was like a total chaos in the country. And that is where it kind of struck me. Like, okay, I was like, okay, that was always back in my mind. And I was like, if events like this happen, how would like people in country kind of survive? So I'll say that was sort of an entry point for me in the space. Then it's like a rabbit hole. Once you get into like the multiple things, you get to know about it, and it's very difficult to come out of it. I ended up joining Binance. I'll say, just call it Chinese serendipity for me. I was I just happened to like meet CZ in one of the meetups, and I was like, okay, let me come and work for you as a marketing intern. So it's like a small company, but everything in my crypto journey in the beginning phase, I kind of learned through Binance only. And yeah, that was sort of a starting point. And then like eventually a lot of things happened. Learned marketing and operations of an exchange via Binance. Then like took again like a bold decision to come back to India. And I was like, okay, I want to like closely work in the Indian ecosystem and see like what we can do over there, because things were kind of moving at a very fast pace in China, but in India it was still very silent. I was like, okay, there's definitely a big opportunity here. And of course, call it patriotism or my fate towards India. So I just kind of moved back here and got into the Indian ecosystem. And rest, like it's kind of history only. Like it's been over 5 years. We've been trying to make blockchain mainstream, trying to drive adoption, trying to make sure that people understand what blockchain exactly is. Because of course now I think it's still media and guys like you have definitely played like a very important part in spreading awareness. But back then there were so many preconceived notions. There were so many misconceptions about, okay, if you have a Bitcoin, you probably go to jail even, or Bitcoin is blockchain. So it's a long journey, but I think we're getting there.
Very true. No. Actually, very true. It's still, I think, a very, very new phase, a new development that a lot of people are yet to accept. But those who get into this pool, they understand that there's so much depth and there's so much to learn and understand in this whole new journey. So, like I said, right, it's a whole new world of possibilities with so much happening around since the beginning. It's brimming with the exchange of ideas and avenues, and it's founders like you who are making these a reality in the end. So, considering how fast this technology and its use cases are advancing and growing, what kind of trends or further developments do you see in the digital asset space in the next couple of years?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, over the last couple of, I think, 2 years, it's like a 180-degree kind of a shift in terms of new narratives that we're kind of seeing in the industry. As I said earlier, as well, when we got started with Biconomy, there was blockchain, there was apps, and there were users, and the apps were just like normal applications. Then the concept of DeFi kind of emerged, and we were like, okay, how personal finance should be, like the way to move forward in terms of to have, financial freedom for everyone. Metaverse kind of popped up, NFTs popped up. So these were all already happening before, but we never had these sort of buzzwords or narratives, out there. But yeah, I mean, last year or two, I'll say like, in terms of every normal application, I kind of see like a crypto or Web3 part of it in some way. So this is just the beginning, in my opinion. Like we started with DeFi, and where it was sort of difficult to use curve pools or balancer pools, and it was for a very niche audience. But now there's like a UX layer or like UI component towards it, where you will be using DeFi, but unknowingly, like there'll be like something happening in the back end, and people will be using these applications. So the way I see it is like there'll be like a lot of user facing applications in the next couple of years, and blockchain complexities and stuff would be hidden. Like of course there'll be like a lot of games out there, where, it is like a new gen of games. Like we won't imagine like, something like PUBG coming in crypto, but in crypto, if something is kind of, like someone is building a game, it'll be like an entire different experience. And, for end user, in order to like use an application, we have to like remove all the complexities. So a couple of years we'll be seeing like DeFi, all these trends like gaming, DeFi, NFT, etc., will be more catered towards the mainstream audience, but the backend complexities, or having the word crypto itself or blockchain itself will be removed. So this is where I'm also personally kind of working on in terms of adoption. And a lot of other entrepreneurs and people are trying to make sure that they're kind of having like more user facing applications. Then of course, like there'll be like advancement happening the tech side of things as well, in terms of how we can simplify the block space, how we can reduce the fees and all this kind of infra level developments will be keep on happening.
Definitely. I think, yes, very rightly you said, all of these different apps, gaming, metaverse is going to be the next big thing to have those, to get that kind of a different user experience that people are wanting to get. But what happens is the backend is the real actual work being happened to get those many users be on the system and leverage all of these applications. So,
exactly. I mean, like, that's what I always say, that, like the day my mom starts using blockchain application is the way we kind of, have achieved the exact goal of, mainstream adoption. Because people right now, because we are still crypto savvy, we understand people are very scared to use a blockchain application. Like they always worry about, oh, what if they get hacked? What if, someone because everything is kind of on the blockchain, someone sees like what asset they're kind of holding. So there's still like a lot of granular awareness that we need, and this can only be possible if we make applications so simple where people just using it without knowing that they're actually using it. A very good example of this application is a pillow app. It's like India-based application where you just like deposit money and get interest out of it. Back end, what's happening, no one has to know, but they're kind of using like a DeFi-based application, and everyone is using it.
true, true. So I think that awareness, and obviously that awareness in people will come when things get easy, when it's easier to use things, which definitely happens at the back end. Right. So moving on, as much as it is important to have that belief in your idea, I think it's equally important to put your idea across to the potential users, investors, and also your team. So we believe building the right set of community and networking goes a long way, not just when you're starting, but also as a continued ongoing process. So what role do you think networking plays in your life in setting up the business? How do you think it's important, and what are the correct ways to build your credibility and presence?
Yeah, I think I'm pretty bad at networking, but honestly, it definitely plays sort of an important aspect. I wouldn't say like it is the only aspect that kind of leads to success, but it helps in sort of getting there. Ultimately, it's the product that speaks for you, right? Like whatever marketing community you kind of do, it doesn't matter. And networking in crypto is a very it's a different way of doing it as well. Like normal, like when we talk of networking, people always think of going to meetups, trying to meet like different sort of people, investors, etc., etc. But in crypto, it's all about like having like a digital presence and being active in your own community. It means like having your own Discord channel, being active over there, try to talk to different developers out there, try to get the product feedback, try to listen to everyone, what they think about you. So I call that as sort of a positive networking, in a way that any entrepreneur, any like a project holder should actually be very active in the Telegram, Discord groups. Doesn't have to be all the time, but he needs to know like what exactly the followers, or the retail investors, or anyone like people following a project wants from a project. So this kind of brings networking to a very different term, in a way that people are always building for the community. And I always say that a blockchain application or a blockchain project, anything, it won't succeed if people are not building for the community, people are not using it, if people don't have like a big community using the project. Definitely you're not building the right way, and also it's not very sustainable model. So I think the two aspects, like the physical meeting part of thing is okay, like of course like people have to do it, but you can also get away with that if you are like more digitally present and your product is kind of speaking for itself. in crypto, there's also concept of anon builders, like you never come to know like who's building the project. Like people are just digitally present and people are kind of using the products, for kind of very long time. Biggest example is like Bitcoin, right? Like everyone knows who kind of invented Bitcoin, and it's like the most marketed asset in the community. So ultimately it's a product, but of course, to get there initially, some small physical presence is needed. But I'm bet against it. I'm like, okay, it's fine, but if the product is not speaking, then everything is useless.
Definitely. I think that's a very different and a newer perspective to networking, how things change in the Web3 world, where networking revolves around the product. And it is actually, like you said, right, it's very important to be at that ground level and understand what the community sentiment is, how are they feeling about your product. And that's where you truly build your network around them. So it's honestly a vast space with the entire stack of layer ones, middleware, dApps, and we started to see an increased interest in the Web2 community to transition to Web3. So having seen your journey and experiences, what advice would you give to people who are still unsure of Web3 and why should one get into it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, last year it's like, everyone from Web2 is either quitting the job or either doing some side hustle to get into the space, or even as you mentioned, networking, like few networking events I've been a part of, I've seen like a lot of Web2 people asking that, okay, like they're working at XYZ company, now they want to get into Web3, what is the best way, how they should think about it, and all this kind of stuff. And also like definitely a lot of people have actually entered the space already. Like web 2 web 3 folks are not very good product people, like we are good at understanding the technology. When it comes to product, we are like really bad, in general. Like of course must have seen that how complex it is to use, something like Curve, etc. Like these platforms are not meant for like normal users. So a lot of Web2 people are trying to make it simplify and like give Web3 like a product direction. But the most common advice, or most important advice I'll say I give to everyone is, don't enter the space just for money, right? Like a lot of people have this kind of a thing in their mind that, okay, it's a quick money grab. You come in, you make trade coins, you go super rich overnight. That is like a bad intention. Maybe you can get away with it like a couple of months, but crypto is uh, entering as a trader and thinking of getting overnight rich is like it won't get you anywhere. There'll be events like what happened, we've seen like last couple of weeks, where you probably won't even know like what happened overnight, and you're like, whatever your wealth you have gonna go down by like 50, 60, 70%. So, and the second thing is that people come in and people always think that they'll come in, they kind of create a token. Like token is the last thing you should always do when you kind of building a product. So people say, okay, you come to Web3, all you have to do is like build a token on the product and you're kind of done. This is like a very bad way of kind of starting a journey into the ecosystem, because when we started Biconomy, I was very sure that we won't be doing a token, or we might not be doing a token ever. But of course, as the product kind of progresses, as we start of getting more feedback, we started listening to community, and also product also had like a token need. That's how kind of we release the token. So it should be like very product focused, it should be very community focused, and you should see like what problem you're trying to solve. Like there's like so many problems out there. Like build like a nice game, simplify DeFi, simplify blockchains in terms of how you can make it usable for developers as well in the space that we are in. Still like so many opportunities out there, but pick a problem, start working on it, start getting validations from the community, from crypto people, maybe like take part in hackathons. I think hackathons are like the best way to validate your ideas and also to meet other people as well, and then kind of move forward. So the good thing is Web3 community is very welcoming, so anyone can come in. There's a place for everyone, right? It's very global. It's not like it's dominated by XYZ players. You kind of enter the space and you're like, okay, I'll be like a small cockroach in the space and I'll be irrelevant. Projects have like have gone to like multi-billion dollar valuation just from hackathons. Like Uniswap was a hackathon project, and there are many examples like that as well. So just like I'll say, just get started, and this is like the best time to build, actually, like where there's no sort of external kind of a noise out there, and it's a total build phase ongoing. So anyone, we're still very early. There's definitely like what few millions of people kind of using blockchain applications. So I'll say like next 4 to 5 years, or maybe more than that, is like a golden period to win the space.
Definitely, that's I think one useful piece of advice that it's still not too late to jump into that pool, and you shouldn't jump into it just to earn a few bucks and get out of it, but you need to understand the ground level technologies to how things are happening. And I think once people actually get into it, the nitty gritties of things, they do realize, okay, that there's a lot more depth to it. And like you said, right, a lot of product managers applying their Web2 understanding and knowledge to these things will ease things out a lot for a lot of users as well. Right. So just circling back, like you mentioned, right, you also wanted to move back to your roots and set up something, go back to India and then start something there. So we do see growing presence of digital assets in multiple regions now, right? Like Africa, even Dubai, for example, with regulatory authorities taking cognizance of this new technology. So talking specifically about India and Dubai, how do you envision the crypto ecosystem evolving in these two places? And are you bullish about crypto economies in these two regions?
Yeah, I mean, definitely in terms of talent coming from India, or of course, like when we started, there was like what 10, 20 projects out there, and everyone was like, no crypto, nothing, probably these projects also going to get shut down. But people entering India, even you see like in Bangalore, etc., every weekend there's like a crypto meetup happening, not one, there are like 10 crypto meetups happening every weekend. So people are super excited, right? And you also mentioned Web2 people coming. So I'm super bullish on India, honestly, like in terms of talent and projects coming out of India. I've already seen like, how efficient and how, dedicated Indian entrepreneurs are coming to Web3. And most of the people in India are kind of coming with good intention, right? Like they just want to build, they want to enter the space, they want to like, create like a mark in the blockchain kind of ecosystem that coming from India, building from India. Of course, there's like something probably we have to do in terms of making it easy for anyone to kind of run a company from India. That is a bit tricky part, in terms of how how like developers take the company from like level 1 to level 2, because developers, entrepreneurs are not like like very and they don't have to be, they're not like very sort of a legal or regulated people, right? They don't know like what is the best way to kind of start a company in terms of regulatory aspect of things. So if you can make it further simplify for them, that okay, this is like a clear process in terms of doing business, there's like a clear mandate, that part is sort of I think missing from India, and that's why people move to Dubai, not only from India but from out of the world as well, because here it's like a clear mandate, like there's like steps in order to like start a business, and if you do it, like probably like no one will actually bother you if you're like having the right engine, if you're building or doing the right thing. If that thing gets kind of clarified in the Indian ecosystem, if we kind of work towards it, of course I don't think anyone from India would want to come to Dubai. So pretty bullish about India in terms of developers coming, in terms of new projects coming, and with respect to Dubai, the way the entire ecosystem have built over the last 2 years here, like in terms of ease of doing business, I'm kind of seeing like a lot of projects gonna be coming still out of different countries and moving there. So Dubai, I feel it's like a second home. Like people will be building from their own countries, whether it's India with XYZ, and if there's some uncertainty about the future of the industry in the country, they'll move to Dubai because it's super easy. Homegrown projects from Dubai, not that many, because they're all immigrants, like people coming from different parts of the world. So like India and Dubai kind of work hand to hand in that way. I feel that.
Lovely. So I think, yeah, you very rightly said that, yes, there are a lot of homegrown projects in India, a lot of honest work being done by Indian entrepreneurs, but we do see some sort of brain drain happening with regards to the regulation setup and things that are happening. But true, having homegrown projects and then keeping Dubai as the place where you probably can grow your audience or have it as an option to move to, I think that also makes a lot of sense. So just to wrap up, Aniket, what are your top 3 projects that you admire and you are bullish on in the current market? Obviously, apart from Biconomy, not as a financial advice, but just your opinion.
Yeah, I think definitely Biconomy will be on top, just personal biasness, but I'm very much focused on the infra side of things. So Ethereum is something, we're kind of building on. Same working very closely with Polygon as well. So these two kind of projects we kind of very closely follow and work towards as well.
Great. Thank you so much, Aniket. It was truly an insightful conversation, and the team at Biconomy is definitely at the forefront to onboard 1 billion users to Web3 by enabling seamless user experience for mass adoption. We wish you all the very best scaling Biconomy to greater heights, and thank you once again for taking our time and being a part of CuratedX.
Thanks a lot, Chavi. I've really enjoyed the conversation.
Thank you. Wish you a great day ahead.